Hello and welcome to another video, a different video today. I had a topic I wanted to talk about. You've seen it in the title, no doubt, obviously. And I had a few comments along these lines. And so I thought, well, let's just make a video talking about it because there's only so much I can comment on in a YouTube comment. And I feel like it's a broader issue that people have with Eureka Entertainment, which is, are they releasing too many Hong Kong releases? Are they putting out too many Hong Kong movies in contrast to the stuff that they've done in the past? Got the MOC collection behind me here. Very much started with stuff like French cinema, Italian cinema, Japanese cinema, silent cinema, European stuff. And in more recent years, it's kind of transitioned into a lot of Hong Kong stuff. It started in, I think, 2018, I want to say. Around that time, about 5 years ago, when they started releasing some Jackie Chan stuff, they did a few cool box sets of the Project A movies, the Police Story movies, and they went further on with Jackie Chan stuff, then Sammo Hung releases, and then they just kind of went full bore, full tilt with a lot of these Hong Kong special edition Blu-rays, which, I enjoyed at the beginning when it was Jackie Chan. When it moved away from Jackie Chan, I became less interested. For me, I almost felt like Jackie Chan was the be-all, end-all, and it's just like, well, the rest of the stuff isn't going to be as good anyway, so why bother? And in the past year or so, I've really dove into a lot of their Hong Kong releases, and I've been keeping up with all the new releases, and I'm loving it. And I'm going through this big, passionate, deep love affair with Hong Kong cinema right now, and with these great special editions, all these special features, and I'm learning a lot. And I'm really enjoying that. But I get a comment every now and then, and it's not even in a nasty way or a trolley kind of way. Trolley. I mean, troll is in a troll comment. Now I'm just thinking of a shopping trolley. I'll leave that in for free. It's not in a trolling kind of way, but it's, there's genuine grievances by people who feel betrayed was one term that was used in the comment. They felt betrayed that Eureka had done this, and I understand up to a point that someone would be disappointed that they're not releasing the kinds of films that they enjoyed Eureka releasing before. And I mentioned in a reply that Eureka themselves, as an entity, I suppose, represented by one person who has an account on the Blu-ray.com forums, which are an interesting interesting area to dive into if you're a Blu-ray collector. I had an account on there for over 10 years. And then they just banned me and blocked everything. And they're very weird people over there who run that website. But, it is an invaluable resource for information and so on. And I remembered recently, Eureka's account had replied to a comment and said something to the effect of, without all these Hong Kong releases, we probably wouldn't have stayed afloat in recent years. And that to me is more than justifies, the shift into a different kind of genre for their releases. And it's not like they're not releasing some of the stuff they used to do in the past. So for me, that was more than fair enough. But then I just thought, am I putting words into Eureka's mouth? So I tried to find that post, and there's hundreds, thousands of posts and pages in the Eureka/Masters of Cinema thread on the Blu-ray.com forums. But I did some heavier digging, finally found their accounts, went through their posts, and I have it here. I'm going to read it to you. I'll show it to you on screen. So I'm not taking anything out of context here, because I think this is really interesting. And I just wanted to talk about it a little bit here in this video. So cut into the part of their comment where they talked about, and I don't know who this person is who runs the Eureka account on the Blu-ray.com. They're not too active. They don't really comment that much. They kind of rectify or clarify things if there's an issue with the release or something. But the direct quote is, I know some of you are frustrated by the amount of Hong Kong releases recently, but to be brutally honest, if we didn't have those titles, it is very likely Eureka wouldn't have survived the last few years. I personally love working on the Hong Kong titles, but they are a lot of work and I wish we could space them out a bit more, but with increased competition from other labels who are seeing good sales from the Hong Kong stuff, combined with an increasingly limited selection of acquisitions from elsewhere, means it kind of had to be that way this year. And this comment was posted towards the end of 2022, I believe. I'm sure things will change again. We've got some interesting stuff planned for next year, so hopefully there'll be a bit more balance between MOC and classics. So I think this is a fair comment, and it's kind of, you can kind of see it if you look at what they've been releasing and some of the stuff that maybe we love and like the silent releases or, more niche world cinema stuff. They're not big sellers for Eureka, at least not in the same realm of some of the Hong Kong stuff, because I think there's a healthier, more passionate collector community who love Hong Kong movies. So it makes sense that they're making more money off those titles. And so they're putting more resources into that. And, it's clear by looking. If you just look at the broad spectrum of the boutique label arena, it's clear that Eureka don't have the biggest, deepest wallets out of everyone. You look at the stuff Arrow's doing, especially Arrow has really changed recently, especially when Zavi, I think, bought Arrow. Now you're just seeing the kinds of big budget mainstream releases that, Arrow Video weren't even, contemplating like 10 years ago. Some of they used to really thrive in the kind of video nasties and like horror, proper like old school horror movies. And now it's like Waterworld, which is great, but it's like there's a lot of really big licensed films that they're putting out, and they're doing these full, original camera negative restorations themselves. That's the kind of thing that Eureka isn't really going to, it seems, have the budget to do. And I love Eureka because for me, the Massive Cinema collection is what really grabbed my interest in films that I hadn't really watched before. I credit that collection with, my love of silent films hugely, and just a deeper sense of curiosity for exploration within films that I haven't seen before. And, I think there's only one or two films that I've seen in the MOC collection that I don't think are very good. Otherwise, there's always something of value, something interesting, something different. That's what I love about the collection. It's the same with Criterion, and other kind of labels, but with the MOC line, it was an achievable goal for me to collect all of them, which I eventually ended up doing, and I keep up with it now, obviously with the new releases. But yeah, it's a collection I love hugely, and therefore the company and the brand I'm kind of a fan of, and I haven't really gone wrong with them in the past 9 or 10 months since I started reviewing all of their new releases, which has been a great thrill for me. But I wanted to point out something too. I think it was in October I first started doing these Blu-ray reviews, these kind of, I would say, fairly in-depth with clips and kind of pictures and, me reviewing all the extras, showing off the packaging. I'm pretty proud of the work I've done in those reviews and videos. So I've been doing that for about 9 months or so now, I would say, something to that effect. And I went and counted. Of all the Eureka stuff that I reviewed, 8 of them were not Hong Kong releases. The other 8 were. So, I get it when people say that, oh, they're pushing all this Hong Kong stuff down our throats. There's so many great labels out there. If it's not for you that month, then it's not for you that month. And there's been some really great variations of stuff. I want to just highlight a few titles here very quickly. And this is from the last 6, 7, 8 months or so. We had in the MOC collection Run Man Run, spaghetti western there. We've had a lot of Japanese stuff. There was Samurai Reincarnation, which I'm looking forward to talking about pretty soon. Another Japanese film in Revenge. We had a classics release of The Bullet Train, which is one of my favorite releases of the year. This is a phenomenal release. And then, back in the end of last year, we had the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. There's gorgeous deluxe 4K edition of a silent film, which, and that's one thing about the silent films, I will say, is that's the biggest thing that got me into the collection, was the early stuff, like the Sunrise release, Metropolis, and then once they started doing stuff like the Buster Keaton things, but even like more obscure stuff like, say like Taboo, for example, or something. Or City Girl. City Girl is a film that not many people rave about that much when they're talking about F.W. Murnau, but then there's the Fritz Lang releases. I mean, they've released most of his major silent films from the 20s, from Spies to, Woman in the Moon and beyond. I mean, there's lots of great ones. And then at a certain point, Eureka just stopped. The silent films just, they vanished off the slate, and that disappointed me at the time. But I kept going on with the collection and finding new things that they were, and it seems to go in phases. And obviously that's to do with like the licenses that they're able to get and the acquisitions that are possible for them to get. And they've gone through management changes as well. There's been certain shiftings going on that I don't know all the ins and outs of them, but it became quite publicly clear at certain points that, well, this person's left and the founder is no longer around. So there's lots of things that go on that, you know, the company is changing, I suppose, and there's different people in charge of things. But I still think the spirit of it is there when you get a release like this one, which is came out, I think, was it the end of last year? Or was it, yeah, I think it was the end of last year, Son of the White Mare. This MOC release is incredible. And jump on the website now, by the way. If they've still got this, grab it, because it's about to go out of print, at least the slipcover version. I think. Yeah, I think it's just I think the booklet gets retained on the MOC releases, but the slipcover, not so. But, you know, I think it's a nice slipcover. But this is a release everyone should give a look, I think. You know, Hungarian 80s animation. That's pretty niche. That's pretty out there. And, you know, the idea that because they're doing all this Hong Kong stuff, which is very lucrative, they're then able to then put in between releases like this that maybe aren't going to be huge sellers. But I guess the fact it's going out of print shows that this has sold. You know, was it 2,000? Oh, was there like, it's a sale on the back? I'm not sure if it does say on the back. It doesn't, but I think they're usually around 2,000 limited. The limited editions are around 2,000 print run, I think. So the fact that this sold almost 2,000 at this point is pretty cool. But again, you know, certain releases don't catch on as well as others. But they still are going to the silent film well. This amazing release of The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which is just top to bottom an amazing release. And they recently, I think, sometime in 2022, put out The Saphead, which is not a great Buster Keaton film, but this is an amazing release for the extras. I haven't really talked about this yet, but I mean, it's for a Buster Keaton fan. Some of the stuff here is gold. So I think that they're doing their bit, you know, for the stuff that a lot of us have loved from their back catalogue in the past. They're still happening. We've got the big Polish box set coming out this month. Andrzej Żuławski, you know, Polish cinema. There you go. And yeah, there's a lot of Hong Kong stuff coming up, which I'm excited for. And I can't quash down my genuine excitement for that to champion, let's get some more variety. It kind of is what it is, and it moves and flows in the ways that, they're able to make money because it's a business, right? Even though it's something we all love and it's a great hobby, ultimately the bottom line is business. And I also think that it's just, I don't want to call it a golden era. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but the fact that we have all these companies out there still at this point in time when physical media really doesn't seem like too much of a priority in the grander scheme of things, to get some of these films in these really lavish editions, I think is something we should really appreciate, because it might not be around forever in many ways. I mean, you look now at what's happening with Warner Brothers and Warner Brothers Discovery, and how they're looking to sell off half of their back catalog, stuff that may potentially get vaulted, right? And they won't license it out to anyone. I mean, this is the world we live in now, where, maybe to get a tax break or something, or just to earn a quick $500 million, these companies are now going to be vaulting some of their movies, even movies that they've made and haven't even released yet. I think that it's going to be really interesting to see how this whole thing shakes out in the future, in the next few years, maybe 3 to 5 years. I have no idea what things are going to look like then, but I think let's just enjoy while we can, because it might not be around forever, and I think it's worth, for people like us who love physical media, love collecting films and stuff, I think it's an important thing to enjoy now in the moment, in case maybe things change down the line. But yeah, I didn't want to overly defend Eureka, but I thought it was worth, because someone in the comments said that they weren't aware that Eureka made that comment about the Hong Kong releases. So it's public information, it's out there, so I figured I'd put it out there in a video. And also just, again, I think considering I reviewed every Eureka release for the past 8 or 9 months, and it's an even split of Hong Kong and non-Hong Kong releases, basically. Though, to be fair, I was counting that as individual releases, because with the Mr. Vampire set, I did 5 reviews, one for each film, one for the overall set. But then again, with what was that release now? The title of it is eluding me. Creeping Horror. I did 4 videos for that, so, but as far as like actual single releases, it's 8 and 8. So I think that's pretty flat even, I'd say. But I do think that, I think there was a month where it was just 2 Hong Kong releases. So I can understand how people maybe be feeling a bit disheartened if they're not into that sort of stuff. And they're big supporters of Eureka. I understand it, but I do think that it's allowing them to still make money, and also put lots of love and care and attention into these Hong Kong releases, but then to also do that for other stuff in the MOC line and even beyond in the classics range, like some of the Japanese stuff that they're doing as well. So yeah, that was kind of my thoughts on the situation, the Hong Kong situation with Eureka. And it is what it is, and again, looking at our video, I barely, their announcements don't really do much for me anymore. There's certain things like the Bruce Lee set that's like, wow, the eyes pop out of your fucking head. But, more often than not, I look at what our video's releasing and I'm like, not for me, and that is what it is. Criterion, I wait for their announcements every month to get disappointed every single month that they're still not upgrading Kurosawa anymore, but they're still doing great stuff, but maybe might not be for you. So it's the game that we intentionally participate in when we are purchasers of physical media in the boutique label arena, as I said earlier, that not every company that you support and follow are going to release the stuff that you want all the time. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully this didn't come off as too much of a rant or derogatory towards anyone. I just wanted to give my thoughts in it, and I think that it's, once you really look at it, it's not quite as much of a a smothering of Hong Kong releases as it might seem on the surface, because I have been following along every month their new releases and stuff, and so I know not many people really do that. Most of the time it's a new month of announcements come and people say, yeah, I'm in for that one, not for that one, whereas I'm kind of enjoying the process of going through everything, and I'm hoping to make it to the end of this year and have reviewed everything that they put out, just to maybe look back on that. And maybe we can review that at the end of the year and see, just how many releases were Hong Kong movies and which weren't, and which were the best ones. I think that'd be cool to do at the end of the year. Anyway, I'm rambling on as I tend to do. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Leave your comments down below. Be nice, and I'll see you in the next one.